Would you not eat my pants?
You can squeeze, you can twist until you hear a pop, but how will we know when Bitcoin will drop? Guys, with more and more people getting extremely bearish on Bitcoin in the short term and more indicators seemingly indicating in not just the Bitcoin market, but in the entire global economy that we are potentially on the verge of a massive downturn, what levels at the very lowest can we expect to hold? We're going to be doing a deep dunk into these prices and what the specific price of Bitcoin has to hold. And as well, guys, is everybody actually becoming too bearish? And in fact, is this just a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt being spread in the space? And in fact, are we actually going to be seeing a very similar repeat in the same similar timeframes like we've seen in the prior two halvings? And as well, I probably found one of the best summaries on exactly what I'm going to be doing if this situation does occur, what I'm doing now anyway. And again, I think this is actually probably some of the best non-financial advice that you could potentially ever receive. Wow, welcome back to the channel, flirters, squirters, and late night bedroom lurkers. Guys, we have a lot to be delving in today's webisode, as the price of Bitcoin is still on this absolutely very key level. We talked about this yesterday, but we're going to be diving into some very specific scenarios, in particular, the very worst case scenario that we anticipate could happen and where exactly Bitcoin would find a floor, even if the economy, the world, and all of our hopes and dreams come crashing down around us. Wow, so we have a lot to be delving into in today's webisode, guys. So as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos, and as well, include in your comment on a scale of 1 to 10 if you think we are headed for a massive economic dip, or if this is all just a bunch of turkey gobble. And as well, guys, we'll be picking the winner for this Schledger at the end of this webisode. Without any further ado, let's jive on in. Wow, so guys, let's start off here on the weekly chart, as everybody has turned extremely bearish recently. But the one key thing that we have to acknowledge before we get that confirmation is that, guys, technically we are still in a bullish market, considering basically, though, every indicator on these long-term timeframes and even on these short-term timeframes have actually had some very bearish bias. The one thing we can say is that we're still above this 21-week moving average. And in my opinion, this is pretty much how you dictate in many ways if we're in a bullish or a bearish trend. Now, obviously, if we go on some of these shorter time frames, it's clearly bearish. It is clearly a downtrend that we're currently in. Okay, so the trend is your friend, and the trend is down right now. But we do have to acknowledge that we have not broken this very key level of about 10,100, or let's just be realistic, 10,000 even, right? Which is right where this 21-week moving average is. Okay, very important to note. As we talked about yesterday as well, we have come down back on this RSI. So this, in my opinion, will be the determining factor on if we go lower. So in my opinion, if we actually go below 53 on this weekly RSI, then I think that's where we're going to see a big acceleration in sell-off. That's where I think we're going to see a big acceleration, a huge return to volatility in this market. Okay, so basically right here on this RSI, we are less than a point away from this level as well. And before we get into more data, guys, if we take a look at the SPX, obviously look at this bad boy absolutely dropping. Very clear that, I mean, this is a pretty big red candle, the biggest red candle we've seen so far since back on September 10th. Okay, so about 2 weeks ago. But obviously, we did not even come back up to this 50-day moving average, which is how we flip bullish in the short term. Again, we never really even got close to it. That's all the way up at about 33.50, and we're currently at about 33.20, which is significant for the SPX, right? So if we breach this level, which I think will correlate to that RSI move for Bitcoin, guys, then we are in store for a much bigger correction. However, there are two scenarios that we really need to look at, because I think a lot of people are pretty much in agreement that we are probably going to see some more downside in the coming week, right? But more importantly, two scenarios. One is that we get a very volatile swing and we get a very strong bounce, potentially regaining some bullish momentum and actually initiating a trend reversal, or we kind of just slowly bleed out and break key level of support after key level of support, okay, which would be a longer recovery. Maybe actually leave in the comments which one you think is more likely. I think that might be a better question to leave in the comments is, do you think this, if we do get a downturn, do you think it'll be very quick, followed by a quick bounce, or in fact, do you think this will be a slow bleed? And guys, as we talked about yesterday, this chart that I have my eyes oogled and googled to right here, about 10,500. Currently, we're sitting about 10,004, but we're right underneath this level. We are right underneath the 21-day moving average. It seems we're getting a clear rejection there. We're at the very bottom of this, 6-month ascending channel. We're at the very bottom of this previous resistance, which again does not look as though this is going to hold support, okay? Again, I say it does not look as though this wants to hold support, as we are right now basically just teetering here, okay? Even though there is some significant volume below us, or specifically around the $9,200 level, it does look as though Bitcoin's momentum does want to continue downwards. But overall, guys, it does look, this does not look like a strong trend. Just objectively, we just got to call it how we see it, right? This looks as though it wants to continue downwards, okay? And there's a lot of indicators showing that. So even though we're still above the 21-week moving average, the momentum is not showing anything like we're going to just see a bounce right here at the 21. That probably is the least likely scenario, I think, over the next week. And guys, with that being said, Plan B, who actually created the stock to flow and the S2FX as well, referenced the 200-week moving average, a popular tool that he said has never been broken in Bitcoin's monthly chart. So if we go to that 21 weekly here on the BLX chart, 21 weekly here, or sorry, the 200 weekly, you can see we have had dips below this yellow line over the past few years, specifically back in January 2015 and then August 2015. But we haven't got any monthly closes below these levels, and it has acted as very strong support in the past. And even more recently, back in the beginning of 2019, that is where we formed that ascending triangle that broke us up to 14,000. And even more recently, on the massive crash at the beginning of March, the catastrophe, that had us finding weekly support on this level, which at the time was about 5,500 US dollars. Currently, that level has us exactly at about 6,750, so about 6,800, because every week, as this article refers to, it goes up about $200, right? Or every month it goes up about $200. So very interestingly as well is that you can see, I'll trace this as well, this 200-week moving average is now perfectly confluent, perfectly lined up with the bottom of this 3-year symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin on the macro charts has been trading in. So ultimately, if we get a very strong pullback, it is very likely that we could see a very strong bounce here. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't wick down below, guys. As you see here, we got a wick down below this 200 weekly. As you see, even back here in 2015 and 2014, or sorry, just in 2015, we had wicks below this 200 weekly. Okay, so that doesn't mean we can't go lower in very short term, but it means that if this trend is going to hold, then it will bounce there. Now, guys, that is basically the most bearish of the bullish scenarios, meaning we could come all the way down back into this triangle, find massive support if that would ever happen, and then continue upward. And again, that's also including an economic crash, right? I don't think that Bitcoin will go that low if the economy remains relatively stable, or specifically if the SPX, the DXY, or if a lot of these very important stocks remain at just some decent levels, then I think Bitcoin will hold way above that 200 week. But I think the real question is it ever possible that we could go below that? And guys, I just want to say, if we did go below the 200 week moving average down here around 67, then that would be catastrophic for the market. We talked about this pullback being the most bearish of bullish scenarios. If we break below that and don't find support and don't get weekly closes there, and don't get monthly closes above this, then that is ultimately bearish. That is just straight up bearish in the sense there's not really much of a bullish scenario if that would actually break. So basically, we talk about this being the most bearish bullish scenario. We'll just draw it on maybe something like this as the most bearish bullish, something like that. But if we break below this and then continue, and especially if we set a lower low below 39, if we come down below 39, then guys, that is just straight bearish. That is 100% just a bearish scenario. However, I definitely think that's very unlikely. Plan B also says here that significant buy support from whales lays actually around the $8,800 USD level. So again, guys, I definitely don't even think we'll come down to those levels, but I'm just illustrating a worst case scenario for the sakes of this video and for something you to be prepared for if in fact the stock market does go completely south. And guys, with that being said, there's this amazing article that actually echoes exactly what I would do. So we're just going to go over this real quickly. So if the equity markets crash, everything will go down with it. Unrelated things dive because margin calls force equity investors to liquidate their positions, whatever they are, to support their losing portfolio. So Bitcoin, gold, and riskier holdings all go down, right? This can lead to a vicious circle of collapse as we saw this year. Only injections of money from the government stop the downward spiral. So here we have the US markets limbering up for a correction or even a crash. They are incredibly high. Valuations are mind-blowing for the tech darlings, and in the background, the looming election offers all sorts of worries. And again, guys, I think we're just going to see a lot of volatility until November, right? US elections are going to have a big impact, no doubt. So what is an investor to do? It seems the best thing to do is hold and buy the dip, the traditional ways to get rich in a strategic bull market, where the price grinds slowly up and spikes down every now and then. You cannot time the slump, but you can buy the dump. If the stock market crashes, Bitcoin is extremely likely to tank for a few weeks, but it will not break cryptocurrency. If you sell your Bitcoin and it doesn't fall and suddenly jumps $2,000, you will be cursing your luck, guys. And again, I am not going to be selling if we continue this downward trend, right? Bitcoin is going up very high in the long run, but trying to catch every crash and vertical is not only the road to madness, it is a certified road to missing the upside. We're about to enter a new crazy trend, and it's likely to be very volatile and I believe potentially very bearish. But in the new reality of broken and fixed markets, almost anything is possible. Wow, so make sure to leave your comment below about what you think is the most likely scenario over this next month. Okay, this is going to be a decisive month leading up to the beginning of November. All right, let's pick a winner here, get YouTube comments, and we'll see. Oh wait, I gotta wait for, oh wow, okay. I guess it's gonna do it anyway. Scott Robinson, December 31st, 40,000 US dollars. Scott, make sure to shoot me an email and reply to your winning comment in the comments below, and we'll get you that ledger. And as well, guys, if you're interested in trading, make sure to sign up with our links below. Some of the highest bonuses on YouTube, 20% trading fee reduction here on Bybit, if you want to support the channel, and only if you have experience trading.